This is Britton Colquitt, Super Bowl 50 champion, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from sunny Southern California in the AMP TV mobile studio. That's AAMP TV. Today's show is brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to people they don't understand, plus a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305, or visit online for more information at www.nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Magic 97.9 over in Las Vegas, KCAA right here in Southern California, NBC News, CNBC Financial, and everybody else from coast to coast watching on hotel television, about 650,000 rooms, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Wow Cable, everybody on Facebook, you name it, you can't get away from us. We are here with a very special guest from the very top of the show. We're going to let him introduce himself.
Hello, Sal. And you know what? You are actually fulfilling a huge dream of mine. I always wanted to work under the big top. I finally made it. For everybody out there joining, my name is Mike Jaminski. And Sal's wearing that Duke shirt, not just because he went there, but because I went there as well. So a little plug there. All-American back in the late 70s. Probably the most famous thing I did, I was the last player not to play for Coach K. So we'll get that out of the way first. NBA for 14 years and a broadcaster for the last 27 years. And I think that gets everybody up to speed, Sal.
All right. That's exciting. So here's the guy that predates the legendary Mike Krzyzewski. Of course, you know, he's from Chicago, just like me. And we have this incredible brotherhood and link at Duke University. And, you know, Mike, I don't know if you've been in that recruiting side from an academic standpoint. I've been kind of giving back to the school for the last 20-odd years, serving on that academic advisory committee. And it's my way of saying thank you for a great education, for a great opportunity. My graduate degree from there cost me a fortune, but it was worth 20 times what I paid for it. What an incredible opportunity. I was very fortunate to have that opportunity.
You know, it sounds funny that, I mean, Duke was a great, great school when I was there in the late 70s. But I tell everybody I am the beneficiary of diploma inflation, meaning that now that university has such mystique about it, you know, worldwide, that, you know, I tell people I graduated from Duke with honors, and they're like, wow, you must be Einstein. You know, and I'm like, all right, if you want to think that, it's fine. But no, it was a great place back then, and it's become even better now.
You know, it really has. And from the recruiting side, just because I'm there, I'm going to go off to left field. Actually, that's that way. I'm going to go to left field for just a little bit, because I have to tell you, back when I applied to go to business school over at Fuqua, I said, you know, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk to the top 20 schools, right? Because that's kind of what you do. You talk to the top 10. And here's one thing I didn't know, and I didn't realize this. A lot of people kind of clued me in on this afterwards. I filled out the long shot application. I said, I'm going to go to law school, but wait, I'm going to fill an application out to go to Duke. And as soon as I got in, I mean, somehow they let me in. I guess I was token. I'm not really sure. But nonetheless, they let me in. And then I started getting letters from the other top 10 schools. I'm like, well, geez, I didn't even apply to these other schools. Why is that? And Mike, here's what I didn't realize. As soon as you get into one of those top 10 schools, they share their applicant pool. I didn't know if you knew this, but now I got an acceptance letter or an invitation nonetheless from Sloan at MIT. I got one from Darden at UVA. I got one from Harvard. I got one from Wharton. I got one from Kellogg. And I was like, I didn't apply to these schools, but all you had to do was get into one of those. And then I guess they want to keep the best applicants in a particular pool. But so for folks, I guess the reason I'm saying this, if you're really good, I just got really lucky, I suppose, right? Maybe it's because I live in Vegas. I don't know. But the fact is, if you're really good, you get in, you can almost assure yourself you'll get invitations for everywhere else. So only fill out one application. I guess that's the moral of the story here.
Hey, Sal, that's, being out in Vegas, so you were like a made man then. You got into Duke and you were good with all the other families. So, worked out well. I will tell you a funny story. We went and played for the national championship in '78, and the right after that, the applications for Duke undergrad exploded just because of the notoriety that team got on a national level. And to tell people about that, back then, in that year, we played on national TV 3 times. One was the Eastern Regional Final, and the other 2 were in the Final Four. None of our other games were on national TV, which is unheard of in this day and age.
Let me tell you something, folks. If you're just tuning in, everybody just tuning in from Hotel Television, big welcome back from everybody here on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, Hotel Television. We're here with Mike Jaminski. Mike is in the Duke Hall of Fame. By the way, spent about 14 years in the NBA, played against pick your favorite big man, and he did very well, but also play-by-play announcer for CBS Sports for college basketball, as well as a really good human. You're going to like this one, folks, so you make sure you stick around for the entire show. So, Mike, going back to the fact that you played at that particular stage, at that particular time, and bringing Duke basketball to a prominence. Now, we know we had kind of a lag period where Duke basketball wasn't that great, but what we do know is it's been consistent. And the fact is, when you played, let's run down the laundry list, right? So you have consensus first team All-American, 79, consensus second team All-American, 80, ACC player of the year. That's nuts, folks. If you don't know who has played in that conference, you've been living under a rock. Also, 3-time first team All-ACC, ACC Rookie of the Year, retired number at Duke, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, and by the way, when he did retire, he led basically in every measurable offensive category that mattered. Right or wrong?
No, and Sal, it's, and the guy who doesn't get enough credit, I think, is Vic Bubis, who was coaching in the 60s and had some great teams. I mean, Jeff Mullins, Jack Marin, Art Heyman, they went to the Final Four 4 times. And then there was a lull, and Bill Foster, my coach, came in from Utah, and he was known as a rebuilder of programs, and, recruited Jimmy Spanarkel, recruited me the next year, and then got Gene Banks to come in, and that was the foundation for that team that went on and was ranked number 1 in the country a lot during 78, 9, and 80. I like to tease Coach K. I told him that I'm the Polish Jackie Robinson. That people couldn't even pronounce his name when he got down there, and I kind of laid the groundwork for him to be successful. But no, all kidding aside, it was fun to be a part of that resurgence, and it's been unbelievable to get to know Mike on a personal level right from the very start, and to see what he's accomplished is just amazing.
It's crazy to imagine what this guy has actually done. And, the gold standard, in my opinion, and look, I have a very definite opinion. So, and I think the listening audience certainly knows that. But when I look at the gold standard for coaching, a lot of people say right here in Los Angeles, for example, well, we had a guy that was pretty good, right? John Wooden. John Wooden, he was pretty good in the basketball business, right? One would imagine. But there was another guy that was over in Indiana, in my opinion, that was equally as good and had the fire in the belly that a lot of people couldn't handle. And I think that was Bobby Knight. And in my opinion, Bobby Knight, if you're going to put a top 5 out there, Bobby is in the top 3 for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to argue that point, and it was such a great moment when Coach K passed Coach Knight in the all-time wins category. And people have to remember that Coach Wooden isn't near the top, but they played fewer games back then. So his win-loss percentage was ridiculous, and his record 10 championships may never be broken. So I would say those 3 have got to be in the mix. I would put Coach Dean Smith in there as well. Tough to argue. And if you're trying to come up with a Mount Rushmore, that's a tall task.
That's you'll have to probably add a head or 2. Yeah, that is a very tall order. So in our last 30 seconds, we have maybe a few guys. Look, Mike, you only get one more guy. Who's going up there? Come on, give me one.
Ooh, I may not be the wins, but because of who he was and what he represented, John Thompson might be a name to throw up there.
Oh, now that's a good one. That's a good one. I wouldn't have thought John Thompson. I thought John Thompson was good. I'll tell you what, folks, when we come back, we're going to ask Mike Jaminski a little bit more about that. We're going to break down this John Thompson on the Mount Rushmore of NCAA hoops. Don't go anywhere. Back here in just a few minutes.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
AMP, the multi-format network, is here to help create, produce, distribute, and sell your content. For more information, send a message to info@aamp.tv. That's info@aamp.tv.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
800-908-7016. 800-908-7016. 800-908-7016. That's 800-908-7016.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live in sunny Southern California in the AMP TV mobile studio. That's AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by Cali Vegas, helping people create and host their very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk shows. Cali Vegas can help with everything people need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic. As you can probably see behind me, going back and forth to the same old boring job, yet host their very own talk show in their very own home studio. For more information, contact Cali Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Again, 949-445-1119, or visit online for more information at calivegas.com. That's www.calivegas.com. All right, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in and tuning in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. For all you people in Auburn, Alabama, you know what I'm saying? By the way, we're on in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves, over in South Texas. Yeah, we're in South Texas, down in CBS Sports Corpus Christi, home of the Astros, Rockets, and Texans, right here in sunny Southern California. KCAA 106.5, 102.3 FM, and 1050 AM, NBC News and CNBC Financial, over in Las Vegas, 97.9 FM, as well as Atlanta, WDJY. Thanks for joining us. Everybody else on Hotel TV, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Wow Cable, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you can stream us, AMP TV, www.aamp.tv as well. We are here with 14-year NBA center, Duke Hall of Famer, play-by-play guy for CBS Sports for the NCAA basketball, the great Mike Cheminsky. All right. Just. How's that for a nice welcome back, Mike?
It's nice to hear a smattering of applause for a change. Having played in Philadelphia and New Jersey, I heard my share of boos. So, nice. Thanks for the props. No, not those fans were great to me. I had a great time.
That's a tough audience.
Yes,
wait a minute. In Philadelphia, those are the same people that booed Santa Claus. Come on, man. How do you boo Santa Claus? Now, there's something terribly wrong with that.
Yeah, well, they also booed Mike Schmidt, who is arguably the greatest third baseman in the history of baseball. And,
absolutely.
He had that one picture of him where he wore a wig to the game so nobody would recognize him. But you have to have a thick bark to play in both of those places, no question.
I got to tell you. Well, you're from outside of New York. You're from Connecticut. Mm-hmm. What was it like growing up over there, dealing with kind of look, I'm from Chicago, man, so I know I got thick skin too. But being in Connecticut, it's almost like basically being in suburban New York, is it not?
Well, yeah, and I grew up in Fairfield County, Sal, and really, from a sports standpoint, if you can divide the state in half a long way, the northern part of the state are all Boston fans, and the southern half are all New York fans. Now,
you're a Knicks guy.
I happen to be a Knicks, Yankees, Giants guy. And,
right.
So the other thing is you could be a Jets, Nets, or Mets guy. Usually those are the two camps. But, I always wanted to play baseball, and the Yankees were my team from the time I could know what I was watching. So those were the three teams that I grew up following. And it was when the Knicks were really good in the early 70s, winning, world championships.
Yeah. That's Phil Jackson going back in the day, huh?
6 man, yep.
That's Phil. Hey, let me ask you. So you said I'm not getting off of this one yet. I'm not going to let you off this one yet. On this Mount Rushmore thing, right? So you said John Thompson. And when you have a bevy of other guys out there, why would it be John Thompson?
Well, and I was thinking in the break, and I put him and John Chaney kind of in the same group, and they were really pioneers for black coaches in college basketball, and they stood for a lot of things for their players on social issues. So I think it was more inclusive of those things in thinking about where their place is. And I don't want to be an ACC homer, but you got Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim, to name two right there. But you could go on, on down the list. It's the guys who have won a ton of games. But I think it was more the social issues that those two guys represented. That's why I threw them out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let's go beyond the social issues, because those are great issues. I absolutely tip my hat to those guys, phenomenal coaches. Let's get beyond that, and let's go to hard performance, clutch performance, wins and losses, and doing the right thing at the right time.
As far as that list that we were talking about?
Yeah, Mount Rushmore of college basketball coaches.
I think I think the four are Coach K, John Wooden, Bobby Knight, Dean Smith.
Really? Tell you what, I like that. And I'm just waiting for you to ask me who my fourth one is, because I think we have the same three up there. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to throw in another person. Do you want to know who I've got in there?
Go ahead. What do you think? What do you got under your CBS hat?
I got Pat Summitt from Tennessee. And, I'm going to give it up to Pat Summitt. I'm not going to give it up to Connecticut win after win after win after win, because I'm going to give it up to Pat Summitt for a lot of other reasons. I want the woman up there, number one. And Pat Summitt is Pat Summitt. I mean, in women's college basketball, in my opinion, she is George Washington on that Mount Rushmore.
I can't argue that. I might go Gino Auriemma. He's a Philly guy. I've gotten to know him, and that record is. And plus,
hey, wait, you're a Connecticut guy though, so
yeah, but you
wait a minute. Now that's a homo answer.
If you even march through Philadelphia, you're a Philly guy, all right? So I
right.
qualify on a few levels, but in fairness, there were a lot. The talent level was much broader in Gino's era from the get-go than it was for Coach Summitt. But again, you can't argue how many guys and women are we going to have up on Mount Rushmore? Four. Go ahead, pick four. And I'll pick four, you'll pick four, and then we could argue about another four, and that's how those things go.
Right? Well, yeah, I know, because then it goes to, well, who is the GOAT of something? I mean, that's such an overused term. And what I like to say is, how about the GLOAT, the greatest leader of all time, huh? Let's think about that one. By the way, a big welcome back to everybody tuning in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Also, hotel television in 500,000+ rooms. We're here with 14-year NBA center Mike Jaminski. By the way, Duke Hall of Fame. Yes, an astounding round of applause for that. As well as the play-by-play guy for CBS Sports and college basketball. But folks, if you haven't seen him, you've been living under a rock. All right, so if we have the greatest leader of all time, let's take that from a coaching standpoint. The players, you could argue there's this guy and this woman and that woman, whatever. I want to talk about the coaching side, but there's different sides of that coaching puzzle too that you kind of alluded to as well.
Yeah, and having watched practices and seen him up close, I mean, it's tough to argue against Coach K. I mean, just what he has adapted to over the span of his career the introduction of the three-point shot, how, the way the game has evolved over time, and that he has stayed relevant to recruits even at his age. People, the kids now come, they want to dying to go there. And that is not an easy thing. And then plus his ability to switch gears and coach the national team and lead that group of players as well. I think that's not an easy thing to do.
I would imagine that's got to be very difficult, because here you've got a bunch of budding superstars. But, oh, by the way, we're going to go coach the Olympic guys, and those guys are already superstars. And so it's got to be difficult. How many college coaches, good college coaches, have gone in and failed in the NBA? Why did they fail in the last minute or so of the segment?
Well, Sal, I think a lot of it for a lot of those guys is they didn't get into great situations. They took the money and didn't. Brad Stevens, I think you could argue, had a very good run with the Celtics. Actually, PJ Carlesimo but he got in a good situation up in Portland. But so many guys get in bottom tier teams, and it's just. I'm of the opinion that you are either a college coach or a pro coach. It's very tough for that to translate. And Larry Brown, the only one who has won a championship at both levels.
Yeah, that's tough sledding right there. And we've seen that even on the football side, we've seen Nick Saban try to make the jump to the NFL. And Nick Saban's probably in our lifetimes, I would argue Nick Saban probably the best in the business, but he couldn't necessarily get it done in the NFL. So therefore, now he falls back to college, and look where he is. He is at this point George Washington on that Mount Rushmore. Back here in a few minutes with Mike Jaminski. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from sunny Southern California in the AMP TV mobile studios. That's AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by the American Business Trust Company, helping companies with strategy, sales and marketing, capital resources, and establishing companies with physical locations or on the internet. For more information, contact the American Business Trust Company at 657-600-1876. That's 657-600-1876. Or visit online for more information at abtrustco.com. That's www.abtrustco.com. And welcome back to everybody tuning in on Hotel TV from coast to coast, our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, as well as Magic 97.9 over in Las Vegas. We can't forget our friends over in Las Vegas. Heck no, because that's our home studio location. But over here in beautiful sunny Southern California, KCAA, our NBC News, CNBC financial affiliate. Thank you for everybody joining us. Also, Comcast, Cox Spectrum, Frontier, Wow Cable. We are back here with 14-year veteran from the NBA, big center. Always had that really cool hair, that good hair, a lot of hair. This guy grew more hair in his college years than I have in my entire life, I think. I'm not really sure. Nonetheless, also Duke Hall of Fame, number retired there, of course. And, oh, by the way, he's also the play-by-play for CBS Sports for college basketball. Kind of knows everybody in the business. Very good at what he does. And welcome back, Mike Cheminsky.
How are you, Sal? Good to be with you.
Got to tell you, man, I'm doing great, having some fun with this. Let me ask you about today's basketball time now from when you were playing just a couple of years ago over in Durham, North Carolina. Go back to your college time. Let's go back to the idea of you got a little bit of stipend, maybe a little bit of something so you could carry on with your life as a player, right? But there wasn't this thing called name, image, and likeness. What in the world is this, Mike?
Well, being transparent, I made a lot of money when I was in college, Sal. And I'll tell you how. It was completely legal. I worked basketball camps in the summertime. And as players, we were allowed to work everybody's camp except our own school or our own college coaches' camp. And Bill Foster had a camp up in the Poconos, so I couldn't work there. But I could work every other camp in the Southeast. And I made $10,000 to $15,000 a summer, at least, working camps. Mm-hmm. And, so from that standpoint, I get it. And I think it's, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, to be honest with you. Because frankly, it's what the market system is, what the world is about. And I made more working camps back then than most of the guys on my team did working camps as well, because I was a bigger name. That's just the way it was. And that's the way it is right now. And I think with this name, image, and likeness, I don't have a problem with it. Is it going to take a while for it to, morph in? Yes. Is it a system that you can abuse? Yes. But I think it's the right thing to do, and I think it'll evolve.
Right. And I'm okay with the fact that these student athletes, because they are student athletes, and if they're not athlete students, they're student athletes. The fact that they can use their popularity, whether it's on social media, whether it's locally in the community, whatever. I'm okay with that, so long as they're paid a fair wage, whatever that means. I don't know right now. I'm not a part of that, but I want to have fairness, because remember, you and I, Mike, we went to a private school, for example. What about the public schools? And we think of public taxpayer money. We have to also believe, how are the monies being used at the university level for fairness for all students? Because now a tax dollar paid in is a tax dollar distributed. So we have to think about what is fair and reasonable. And then once we get beyond what is a fair wage, then we say, are there payoffs? What are we looking at here? It might get a little bit dicey.
Well, okay, and you mentioned Nick Saban. I'd imagine he's the highest paid employee in the Alabama State University system. Is that out of line for him to be making more probably than all the presidents in the SEC combined? You could go down that path if you want. Is it wrong for Mike Krzyzewski to earn as much money as he does? But can Duke University buy the ad time that basketball program gives them on a global level, even with his salary? I would say no. So, the return that these guys are bringing to their universities is substantial. So in talking about, who's worth what, I get what you're saying. I would disagree, though, in the one and done era that they're student athletes, because I would like to see it go to at least 2 years. I think baseball's got the best model at 3 years, but I don't think basketball will ever get there. I think in the next collective bargaining agreement, we may see 2 years, and that I could live with.
Right. Yeah, I'm good with 2 years, because for me, I think about, how about a student athlete taking a scholarship to go basically one semester and then you're out? Now you're taking that scholarship potentially, or the capital away, let's just say in the public university systems, you're taking that capital away from maybe somebody from the arts, somebody from the sciences, somebody from the policy side. I don't know, another student athlete that's going to have a different impact in the world and from the university. You can look at the annual report from Duke University and you say, oh, they make all their money from basketball. No, they don't. 1% of their income, as I last read in a previous annual report, actually came from basketball. That means that research institute is putting a lot of money, or taking a lot of money in from the real business world for the research side, for the medical side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, Duke basically leads the world in medicine at this point. Duke Medical and Johns Hopkins are kind of neck and neck, but then there's a huge drop off to number 3. But what I'm trying to say is fairness from the state university side. The private side, they can spend their money as they wish. It's a private institution. But as a state university, that's where you have to ask some questions, especially when it comes to overpayment on things. So, we can agree, yet we could disagree, but I think we're going to come to the same conclusion. It's a process of evolution for the name, image, and likeness program.
Yeah, well, and I think, and being in Vegas, and what we're seeing in sports too, in gambling, that's going to be a fact of life. And are there potential pitfalls with involved really embracing that from sports? Absolutely. But I kind of like that line from the Godfather, where you keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I think embrace it, embrace the agents, embrace the whole process, and then over time figure it out. But I think that it's a little late to go back to the early 1900s.
Right. I think we are certainly past there in so many different ways. I mean, look how money is being made in TV contracts and streaming contracts from OTT streaming, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, look, we are streaming on social media. We're also on regular TV. We're on your regular terrestrial TV, terrestrial radio. We're also on streaming television. We're all over the place, folks. You can't get away from us. But the best part about it is, as the marketplace has evolved, so has the revenue streams. Right now, you've got impressions, you got point per click, you got all kinds of neat stuff. But after all of the business and after everything has settled, as long as there's some semblance of fairness, Whatever that means, Mike, I don't know what that means. But what I do know is that there has to be some semblance of fairness across the board. Agree or disagree?
I would tend to agree, but I would think, you talked about the revenue streams, Sal. When they went from newspapers to then radio, they had trouble monetizing that. Then they went from radio to TV, and they never thought TV was going to take off, and they had trouble monetizing that. So monetizing the mediums are always behind the medium. So there's going to be a little lag time, and like I said, it's just a little late in the game, and technology, let's face it, is going to be growing exponentially. So things as they are now we're not even going to recognize them 5 years from now. And that's going to be the hard thing, just because change is coming that fast.
It sure seems that way. But, we also see that when players are at the back end of their career, and maybe when they're done with their career, maybe the spotlight's not on. Maybe everybody has their own lives after playing professional sports. Some go on to business. Some find themselves needing a spotlight. Some find themselves in a position, I don't know what to do, but some of them also sometimes have other issues. And as a matter of fact, Mike, when we come back, I want to hear about some of those issues of what can happen to athletes after the lights are off. We've seen a famous line in one of the Rockies. I think it was Rocky 3 or something like that, when Apollo and Rocky were together, and Rocky needed, no, it was actually Rocky 4, I believe. Apollo needed the spotlight. He said, bro, when it's gone, it's gone. It's quiet. So I want to find out what happened in your world when you weren't playing anymore. I think that's a nice segue. And in fact, I think you're going to bring us back from break. So I'll tell you what, when we come back, we're coming back in just a few minutes on the Sports Circus with Mike Cheminsky, 14-year veteran from the NBA, Duke Hall of Fame, yes, and play-by-play for CBS Sports. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
You don't sit behind a desk every day to earn a living. You're out and about making it happen. And sometimes you get a little bit behind on your paperwork, like bookkeeping and paying your taxes. It's easy to get behind on paying your taxes. It happens to the best of us. And you know what happens next. The big bad IRS comes knocking on your door. And when that happens, you need to call the good old boys at the Tax Doctor. Let them do what they do best, deal and negotiate with the IRS so you pay the lowest you can in back taxes that the law allows. We are a 100% U.S.-based company, and we've saved our clients millions over the years in back taxes. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call my friends right now at the Tax Doctor and learn more.
800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. That's 800-989-1694.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. Mike Kaminsky here, and Rebound Institute down in Florida, and Sal and I will talk about that in depth.
All right. And a nice warm round of applause. Thank you, Mike Kaminsky, 14-year veteran from the NBA, also play-by-play from CBS Sports, as well as Duke University Hall of Fame. Yes! And the astounding round of applause there. Give him a super applause for that. Pretty cool stuff. And the guy with, it's funny, I saw a lot of pictures with, this enormous locks of hair and whatnot, and hey, you still have it. You still have it. Me, I got to tell you, buddy, I've got a cul-de-sac on my head from wearing a hat seemingly all the time. I don't know.
First of all, I didn't realize there were different levels of applause, so you were holding back on me there. And hey, some guys, look at the guys on ESPN, my good friend Jay Billis. He's got a head of hair made for a hat. It's just, how those guys roll. It's a prerequisite over there.
I think it is. Hey, Jay does a really good job over there as well. All right, so hey, let me ask you. We started off in the last segment. Actually, we finished off the last segment talking a little bit about maybe life after basketball. What happens when the lights go out?
Well, I think that guys run into problems with being used to being the best in the world. We're in the NBA, you're the best of the best. And you can do that, and you guys are playing longer now. Like when I retired, I think there were only 35 guys who had played 14 years or more in the league. Think about that going back to the early 50s. But, still, you're used to being the best of the best. You're used to making that type of money, and all of a sudden that stops. And you still have the expectation of being the best at something, which is really almost impossible to do. And that segue, losing the rush of playing in front of, 20,000 people in the competition, and it is hard to replace. I was very fortunate. I stepped right into broadcasting with the Charlotte Hornets and did that for 8 years with them, and then switched over to college basketball in 2002 and have been doing that ever since. And I like the rush of live TV. Is it exactly the same? No. But I really enjoy and have enjoyed what I've been doing over this stretch since I retired. But it's not everybody's that fortunate to step into something like that.
Yeah, and I would imagine sometimes you're thrown into the fire, right? So you find yourself, oh, by the way, now you're broadcasting for the Charlotte Hornets, right? And you don't get a whole lot of runway. It's just go out there, put the headset on, and go do your thing. Is that right?
I was very fortunate, Sal, in that I had people who were helping me and critiquing me, which is not easy to find in our business. And I think where players run into problems, they forget how hard they had to work to get to the NBA, and they leave that work ethic behind when they go into broadcasting. And believe me, if you want to be good, you have to work at your craft. And I think that's what separates the guys who stay in the business for a long time and those who don't.
Right. It's also like anything else, Mike, you have to do what? You have to practice like you're going to play. And I think to your point, there are a lot of people out there that don't practice their craft, whether you're on air or not. It doesn't matter. Stand in front of a mirror, watch yourself, Watch the way you present to the camera. Don't say, like, because now you're not an expert. You're somebody grasping for words instead of being the expert, right or wrong.
No question about it. And diction, a big part of it. And that's, Sal, I started off on radio. I did 100 games radio my first 2 years. And to me, that's a beautiful medium because for somebody listening, it doesn't happen unless we say so. And it's really, when you think about it, a very powerful medium in that way. And then I learned, switching to the ACC, that there are a lot of people who would watch the broadcast but listen to their hometown radio guy. And I think a lot of sports fans do that. So radio was great training for me. And like I said, the repetitions, there's no substitute for that.
Right. I mean, even me, I started off on radio on accident. I wasn't even looking to do it. It just kind of happened to be. So somebody asked me to go to a meeting, and before you know it, you end up in the radio station. Then you end up with a mic in front of you, and you make some people laugh, maybe because you look funny, I don't know, or maybe you just happen to be a funny guy. I'm not really sure. It could be a combination of the two, but nonetheless, at some point, it clicks. Somebody once told me, they said, someday you'll find your radio voice. And you know who told me? It was the owner of our NBC affiliate right here in sunny Southern California. And it was the owner of that station. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what this means. He goes, you'll find your radio voice. I'm like, I didn't know it was missing. Well, apparently, right? So I guess ultimately, I happened to find the comfort zone that he was referring to. Mm-hmm. Right. And then once you grasp that, now it's on television. But let's go back to rebound. I want to talk a little bit more about rebound. This is kind of a big deal. And so after the lights are gone, from a player standpoint, not saying because you still have your television gig, but my point is, after being a player, what happens when you don't have the hype and the chaos and the mayhem in a stadium with thousands of people around you?
There's no, that adrenaline rush is gone. Frankly, you're left with a lot of free time on your hands, which can work to be your worst enemy. And especially as time goes along. And, with broadcasting, especially when I was with the Hornets, I was traveling with them to every game. So it was very much like being in, as a player. But switching over to college, it was a much more regional travel. I was home a lot more, and there was a lot more free time for me.
Right. And so when you have that free time, what are you doing with yourself? What are you thinking about? Oh, by the way, a big welcome back to everybody tuning in on Hotel Television and also joining us on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast here on the Sports Circus. We're here with 14-year NBA veteran center, Duke Hall of Famer, play-by-play for NBC Sports. That would be Mike Jaminski. Mike, what do you do with your spare time? What happens? Do you find yourself saying, I need more? Or maybe you go hang out with your friends or whatever, maybe throw a couple back. I mean, what happens then?
In my instance, the drinking snuck up on me, and I'm not playing the victim in that role in any, by any stretch. But, when I was playing, drank beer, no drugs. And, I drank beer and it never affected my playing. Switched over, when I was broadcasting, I love wine, always have loved wine. Started drinking more hard liquor, still working out, never really affected me until 3, 4, 5 years ago. I had a few catastrophic life events happen that overwhelmed me, and I decided to try to self-medicate and get myself through those problems, turning to alcohol, and that's not a great recipe for success.
So tell me about the father-son relationship. Talk to me about the importance of that and how it's helped you.
Well, my son Noah, it's still my greatest joy in the world. He always will be, and he's 23 now, and there's father-son, there's best friend, there's big brother, little brother. There are a lot of layers to our relationship, and we've always had a great line of communication. And he basically saved me. He saw me, and Sal, it started with the death of my fiance in 2015. Sarah was 32 years old at the time, and it was just a devastating 24 hours for me that I never really recovered from. And my friends, people close to me, gave me a hall pass for drinking for a couple of years, but then people started to get concerned. And finally, during COVID, I was shut in and drinking all day. And my son was witnessing that, and he was the one who had the intervention for me, which took a lot of courage. And I wound up in detox down here in Florida, and then came to Jason Williams' facility here at Rebound, and spent 60 days and got my life back on the right track.
That's good stuff. And it's hard to admit if somebody has an issue. It's hard to actually take a step to solve a problem. There's a lot of functioning alcoholics out there, right? And we know that that's no better than just being a regular alcoholic. The fact is, you still have an issue, but the fact that you're able to get help, identify it, go to a trusted friend, and also essentially, so you've got the shirt on, so everybody watching on television can see. Make sure everybody can see what that logo looks like for Rebound.
There we go.
There it is. How can everybody find Rebound? Give everybody the 30-second on Rebound.
Well, it's like I said, it's Jason Williams. He ran it, and his life has been filled with a lot of ups and downs. But he's been sober for over 6 years. He started this program to try to give back. The NBA has sent people down here, including me. We have athletes. We have people from all over. It's a Rebound for Life, the number 4 on Instagram. And we do. It's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of now you're starting to do some marketing. But the program has been just incredible for me, and I can't believe I'm coming up, matter of fact, 14 months today of sobriety, and I'm back here working as a mentor and a counselor. So it's been quite a ride for me, and I couldn't be more thankful or more grateful. Where is Rebound located? We're in Lake Worth, Florida, and it's a facility that we have 5 or 6 bedrooms here. And people come in for 30, 60 days, some longer. And for me, that second 30 days was invaluable. But I'm every day I work at this new life that I have, and I'm trying to help and pay it forward and help other people in their road to sobriety. That's phenomenal. All right, Mike, we're running on time here. Take a quick 30 seconds to tell everybody how to follow you, how to get a hold of you, how to see what you do, and go ahead. I'm on all the platforms. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn. Those are my 4 major social media outlets, and I stay pretty active. And I've started being more active with things like this, and in talking about my sobriety and trying to be a positive influence and a positive voice in helping people. That's fantastic. All right, folks, make sure you check out Mike Jaminski on all of his social media platforms. Make sure you check out Rebound as well. A fantastic, and I mean a fantastic facility run by the right people. And by the way, we're going to have to bring Mr. Duke Hall of Famer back to the Sports Circus. Folks, you may see him back sooner than you think. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and thanks for joining us today here at the Sports Circus. Mike, and thanks for being today's guest. Thank you so much, Sal. It's great being with you. All right, and there's the super applause again. That's going to do it for today, folks. We'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.